Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to your English class. Today we will be doing S4, that is comparing fables. So today we will compare fables which we have learned so far. So far we have learned Grandfather Fish's Secret to a Long Life and The Ant and the Grasshopper. So we will be comparing another fable with The Ant and the Grasshopper for today's class. And for your homework, you will be comparing Grandfather Fish's Secret and The Ant and the Grasshopper. So pay attention to today's class. Now, if you remember, in our last class, we already did the grasshopper and the ants, right? You remember, isn't it? We did it for S2. Now, in this story, we have a grasshopper who is very lazy and the ants who are very hardworking. The grasshopper sings the whole day, okay? He enjoys the whole day. Whereas the ants, they work very hard, okay? When winter comes, the ants have filled their houses with enough food and they're going to enjoy the winter. Whereas the grasshopper, who sang the whole summer without collecting any food, now has to suffer, okay? So when the grasshopper goes and asks help to the ants, do the ants help him? Yes, over here in this story, the ants do not help him, okay? So this was just a gist about the grasshopper and the ants. You already have learned it before, okay? So today I'll be showing you another fable and we will later be comparing these two fables, okay? This fable is known as the rainbow fish, okay? So let's have a look at this story. Once there lived a beautiful fish with sparkling, colorful scales, okay? So we have a beautiful fish who has sparkling, colorful scales. The other fish called him the rainbow fish because he had scales of different colors. They called him the rainbow fish. They would often call him to play with them, but the rainbow fish would just silently swim past them, feeling too proud of its beauty, okay? So the other fish would call him, okay, many times to play with them, but he was very proud and he would just ignore them. One day, a little blue fish asked him to give him one of his shiny scales, okay? So one day, we find this blue fish asking the rainbow fish for a scale, okay? But the rainbow fish replies, "Who do you think you are? Get away from me." So you see how rude the rainbow fish is. The sad little blue fish swam away. He told all his friends about it, okay? So the little blue fish goes and tells all his friends about it. Now from that point on, no one, okay, comes near the rainbow fish and everyone turned away from him. Suddenly he found himself the loneliest fish in the entire ocean with no one to admire his scales, okay? So no one wanted to play with him, no one admired his scales, and he became the loneliest fish in the ocean. So one day he goes and he asks the wise octopus for advice. So you will see a very common thing here. The little fish over here goes and asks the wise octopus for advice, whereas in grandfather's story we have the little fish going to his grandfather, okay? So the octopus tells him, "Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish, then you will discover how to be happy." So the octopus tells this fish, "Give one of your scales to every other fish, okay? And only then you can be happy." But now the rainbow fish is thinking, how can I be happy without my scales? I love my scales very much, okay? And as he is thinking this, the little blue fish comes to him and asks him, "Can you just give me a small scale, okay?" So the rainbow fish says, "Okay, I'll give you one, but it's going to be a very small one." So carefully he takes out a scale and he gives it to the little fish. "Thank you." With that, the little fish swims away, okay? So the little fish takes the scale, thanks the rainbow fish, and very happily swims away. He goes, okay, and he shows it to all the other fishes. And suddenly, okay, once he goes and shows the scale to the other fishes, everybody now wants, okay, a scale, and the rainbow fish realizes his mistake and he gives a scale to everyone. And the more scales he gave, the more happier he felt. Okay, finally he had just one shiny scale on his body, but he did not feel sad because he had a lot of friends. He was very, very happy. Okay, so over here we have two fables. Okay, this one teaches us, okay, that we should not be proud of our beauty and we should be kind. Okay, so let's have a look at the comparison. Okay, so over here in today's class we will not be comparing grandfather's secrets, okay, that you will be doing for your workbook, but I'll be comparing only both the fables which I spoke about today, that is the grasshopper and the ant and the rainbow fish. Okay, so when we compare, let's think about the first point. The first point is the characters, right? So over here we know that in fable 1, okay, that is the grasshopper and the ant, the grasshopper and the ants are the main character. Okay, so whenever you think of main characters, think about who the story is about. So over here we have the grasshopper and the ant, and in fable 2, okay, the rainbow fish story, the rainbow fish is the main character. Now over here the question tells us, what is he like? Okay, what is the main character like? So over here we know that the grasshopper is very lazy, the ants, they are very hardworking, the rainbow fish is very proud. You can also say the rainbow fish is very rude. Okay, you can also add that. Now, how are these two fables similar? What is the similarity between the grasshopper and the ant and the rainbow fish? So we find the similarities in their characters. Yes, you're right. Okay, both are animal characters. Both have been given the ability to talk or behave like humans, isn't it? So over here they are similar because both the fables have animal characters. Now let's look at the next thing. Okay, the next thing we need to consider is, how do they get into trouble? Okay, how do they get into trouble? So we know the grasshopper, okay, he gets into trouble because he does not store enough food for the winter and he starves during the cold winter. Okay, he starves. And over here in fable 2, because of his pride, the little fish does not have any friends. Everyone ignores him. Okay, now how are both the fables similar? So over here, okay, when we talk about the problems that they face, we come to know, okay, that both the characters, they do not entirely have good qualities. Okay, they may have some good qualities, but they are not like fairy tales, where in a fairy tale you'll have a handsome prince, you'll have very brave, okay, they will have the main characters or the heroes usually have very, very good qualities, right? They don't have any bad qualities. But in a fable, it's not like that. In a fable, the main character may also have some negative quality. So over here, we find that the grasshopper is lazy, and we find the little fish is proud and he is rude. Okay, so you find that both the characters have one negative quality, okay, or two negative qualities, and this negative qualities lead them into trouble. It is only because of this negative quality they fall into trouble. For example, the grasshopper falls into trouble because he is very lazy, and the rainbow fish falls into trouble because he is very proud, right? Okay, and then finally, the last point we need to discuss is the lesson, okay, what we learn in the end. Okay, so over here for the the grasshopper and the ant, the lesson we learn is that if you spend your time playing when you should be working, you are sure to get into trouble, right? We learned that lesson last week. And for the rainbow fish, what is the lesson we learn? Yes, you guys are right. Okay, the theme of Fable 2 is happiness comes from sharing, right? And I'm sure you'll agree with me. How many times have we shared our tiffin, right? And it has got over in a second, right? Food has disappeared in a second when we shared it together, right? So happiness comes from sharing, okay? And remember, both are, how are they similar? Because both are lifelong lessons that we have learned. Even though the themes may be different, okay? The lessons we learned are different, but these are lifelong lessons, and that is why they are similar, okay? So S4 is your homework. I don't think you should have any problem, okay? You will be comparing the grasshopper and the ants with grandfather's fish's secret, okay? We will do this, how I've explained this, you need to do it in the same way, okay? And what do you think are the similarities in the animal characters? I've already told you, okay? These animal characters have been given human qualities which enables them to talk, right? And behave like humans. So that is your answer, okay? So that's all for today. This will be our last class before your winter break. So have a good time doing this exercise, and I will see you after the winter break. Bye bye and take care.